I'm here today with the main man, the voice of Gaerea, to talk about the new upcoming record Loss, out March 20th on Century Media, the band's debut record on Century Media. Looking forward to this chat because I have a lot of questions for you. I've obviously listened to the album. I've been neck deep into this record, enjoyed the singles that you
Mhm.
guys have released. Let's start with the singles. How do you assess the feedback that you guys have gotten from these first couple of songs that you guys put out there?
It's been way better than I ever thought it could be, honestly. I thought it would have way more division, but quite honestly, it's just been astonishing to see how well these new singles have been received, honestly. We were not expecting that. We're kind of putting ourselves out there with these first singles and a lot of new things in these first approaches to the album. But yeah, it's been amazing to see how well overall these songs have been received. Yeah.
So this album has its own, I would refer to it as its own sonic path. Um, when did this album start to take shape for you? When did you start to see this record develop into what has become?
I think right in the beginning. I've been working on this record for 2 years now. So I think I realized that once the first song that I written was Luminary, the first one from the record, and the second song was the last one, Stardust. So I think it was then that I realized, and of course, if you compare both songs, it looks like two completely different bands.
Mhm.
And that's when I realized that this was not going to be something we've ever done before in any shape or form. Of course, all of our records sound different. Of course, we evolve. But I think once I had those two songs in my hand, I realized that well, there's no boundaries anymore, and I can do pretty much anything I want.
Does this give you a sense of freedom creatively, knowing that you're not defined by a genre, or not even defined by what the expectations of others are, but probably only defined by your very own expectations?
Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit, I guess, in terms of creativity. I don't have to. I think I realized that I don't have to make fast music to be aggressive. I don't have to have blast beats or super aggressive dissonant music to express dissonance. Um, and I think this and also started with Coma, but I think in this record it's completely out there that we can be super emotional and super aggressive and have that kind of like emotional weight on the song without having to be so charged in terms of blast beats or tremolo picking or super big guitars. It can be something super minimalistic, almost like touching the rock area. I mean, I was just playing a few songs on my own because we're starting to rehearse, and I need to pass along some riffing to the guitar players, and I realized how rock oriented some of these songs are. It's just super basic chords and uh massive leads on top. I mean, it's something we never done before in this scale. Everything would be like super aggressive all the time in order to express anger or um sorrow, but not anymore. I mean, that at least not in this album. I think I learned way more about songwriting in this record than ever before.
I read on the PR release for this album that at one point in time your goal, your dream was to be as big or to be similar in the same vein as a Vatane or a Behemoth, but you've realized that you just want to be who you are, Gaerea. When did that realization came true to you? Was it during the making of this album or was it previously?
I think it was around Coma. Around when we were starting to release the first singles of Coma, I think I realized I don't want to. I don't want to be like those two bands, even though it's my favorite bands. Um, we want to be the first Gaerea band, and that's what we're setting ourselves to do. Whatever that may be, you know.
It's more exciting to lead than it is to follow.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, we played with these bands. We played with Watain. We played with Behemoth. We became sort of good friends with these bands, like respectfully so. Um, but I think after that, I realized, okay, I want to do my own thing. I want to do my own path. I don't want to glue myself to these bands and always tour with them or try to do the same things they do. Um, we had, of course, influences from these bands in the beginning, but now it's time to try to fly, to take our own flights and make our own risks and do things these bands have never done, because it's just not their style. Yeah, do our own thing, apart from bands like these that we already performed with, we already learned so much from them. Some friendships stayed. Yeah, it's time to do our own thing, even if it might mean that, well, we're probably not gonna tour with Watain anymore or something like this, but it's completely fine. I already did it. It's already in my on the
Bucket list.
weight of our shoulders to we already did it. We did our share. I don't want to do the same thing all over again.
It's funny that you mentioned that because, as you know, I was in Denmark to catch the last shows that you guys played on that Orbit
Yeah,
Culture tour with Atlas. I saw your face; you were surprised to see me there, uh, and uh,
yeah.
I had such a fun time at the show that last night in Copenhagen, and such a diverse lineup. When you think about Atlas and their sound, when you think about your sound, when you think about the sound of Orbit Culture, but
Mm.
everybody in the crowd was there for all of you, not just one band or the other. They were there for everybody. Having a sound that is not that doesn't fit in just a single box allows you to do these more eclectic tours. Does that open the doors for fans of the band or people who were on the periphery to become deeper fans of the band?
I think so. I think everything these days is about the perfect packaging. That's how you sell tours. I don't think it's about making like three or four bands that sound exactly the same. That's not going to sell tickets, in my opinion. And well, in people's opinion, it's just not how that works. It's all about making packages that where everything works in terms of either emotion or feeling or vibe on stage or um yeah, kind of like this tour where the three bands, even though they're very different sonically, they're the three of them are very have that emotional charge to it, you know. Horticulture for sure has that. We have that, and Atlas has that a shit ton too. Um, so the three bands can basically do whatever they want, and they share that without almost realizing it. And I think it was just a perfect package on that. And I think it was the same when we did with Zillenarder over there in North America. Um, they're super emotional. We are too. And when I say emotional, it can be on the lyrics, in the songs, in the way we perform. It has that, even though um, everything else is different. I mean, Zillenarder is just like perfection band, the best band I've ever toured with by far. Um, but they do have that thing that we share with. It's that emotionally charged overdrive of songs, if I can explain it like that. So I think it definitely opens a whole broader horizon if you don't look at it as genres and look at it as the vibe of the band and what kind of people like these kinds of bands. Because I mean, in black metal, probably you'll find people that only listen to black metal. But if you step out of the black metal door a bit, you will see people that like black metal, but also like death metal and horticulture and this and that. It's it's a wider world these days. Also, I think the younger generation doesn't care that much for, oh, is it true black metal or is it like proper Swedish death metal. I mean, they don't fucking care. I mean, they like what they like. They're very and they can be very passionate about what they think is their favorite bands, but they will go to a Sleep Token show, and they will go to a show like ours, and then they will go see The Weeknd. It's a bit like that, these fan base that we're cultivating, and it's the same thing with the Orbit culture. Honestly, it's a different kind of fan. This new generation of people that goes to the shows and opens for sure a lot of possibilities in terms of touring with other bands.
When you see yourself in terms of what this record can offer, but the experiences that you had on that tour, how far are you in certain markets from saying that if we're going to go to that market, we got to go as a headliner and no longer as a supporting band?
Well, depends on what you would perceive as a headliner. I mean, we've done. I mean, it kind of depends, Pedro. It's. I know we could probably go to the UK and do quite okay. I know we could do that same in probably Scandinavia based on what we saw, based on, for example, uh, how well we got put in Copenhagen, for example, next year. We're headlining a stage, which is fucking crazy to see. Uh, we definitely learned now that we can also do it in Portugal. We can be a headlining band in our own country. We just realized it a couple months ago. Um, but yeah, not everywhere. I mean, I wouldn't go for a crazy headlining tour in North America, for example. We still have a lot of drives to do over there. But I don't know. I normally leave that to the agents. They're the ones that know numbers and know what kind of tours we could actually do. But hopefully soon we could do our own proper European tour, for example.
So moving back into the record, I got to ask you about before I ask you about the vocals, I want to ask you about two songs, Nomad and Stardust. You mentioned Stardust already, but I felt like Nomad and Stardust are probably the two most unique songs you guys have ever done, not just on this record, but like in general. Super standout tracks that immediately jump at the listener. When you're looking at the track listing and you said Stardust was one of the first songs you had, so you have these songs in your hand, and you're deciding them where to go. What is the thought process in putting them towards the end of the record versus, for example, the middle of the album or the beginning of the album?
I mean, Stardust, the moment I finished it, I knew it was going to be the last song. I knew I was not going to do another song like that for sure. Um, and I think it just summarizes the whole feeling of this record. It's an album about myself, about my dreams, traumas, things I regret, imposter syndrome, and mostly about a person that I lost when I was a teenager, my best friend back then. And Stardust is a song for him. It's a song about that person where I openly talk to that person about all of this that became my life. Um, so yeah, that song for sure deserves to be something on its own in the end of the record. It's also quite a big song for our standards these days. Um, and Nomad, well, everything is right there. I lived the last 5 years probably not having that sense of home or a place to come back to. Um, it's something that these days I kind of have. I started building that for myself. All of us did, but it's a reflection of moments where you just don't have a home or a place that you call safe and yours forever, and uh, and sometimes I mean that can be quite challenging to have in the back of your mind. Like you always, because I mean I think for the last 5 years where the pandemic is over and we started touring very extensively, you're just like jumping from one to the other one tours wise and studio, and it can become quite draining in terms of what am I actually building for myself, because I'm building all these things for the band and for the fans and all this, and of course it's great to make a living out of this, but in the end, what do you have back home if you have any, So it's a song about that, about all those feelings, like going through the motions, going through from city to city, without having actually a place to go, as it's in the chorus. Yeah.
Two phenomenal songs, in my opinion, like two standout tracks in the whole record. I mean, the whole record is such a trip to listen to. I already pre-recorded my review. I call this everybody has an opinion. For me, this is the best album you guys have ever done. Definitely my favorite record
Thank
by
you.
the band by far. But I feel like it's the most complete album that you guys have ever put together, and I love the vocals on this record. So when it came to the cleaner vocals, I don't want to call them clean, but the cleaner vocals, uh, how was that for you? How was that change for you? Is that something you've wanted to do for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, Como already has a bit in the Poets Ballet, and Wilted Flower has a bit of that. We were supposed to explore way more in Coma than we did, but I think we were a bit conservative with all these changes. Um, but yeah, it's been in the works for a couple of years now. I always wanted to explore a bit more my vocals. I know I can growl. I know I can do those kind of aggressive vocals, but I mean, I just got so bored at some point, being constantly on the road doing exactly the same thing with my vocals. It just gets me fucking bored, and I want to explore more. I want to challenge myself. I always wanted to be able to sing uh, better and pass that uncomfortableness of singing next to other people, because I would just do it for myself. Um, and of course it may sound weird for people to hear it, but yeah, I mean, one thing is to crawl and to appear very dangerous. The other thing is to appear vulnerable when you use actually your voice to do something. So yeah, it's two completely different worlds that I had to try to push through. And yeah, once you're comfortable with your voice, and then you're comfortable singing next to your bandmates, once you pass those things, you start to realize that you can evolve a bit more. There's no more that shame. Um, for me, yeah. So it took a couple of years of like trying, experimenting in my room, showing it to my loved ones, showing it to the band, and see how they feel about it. And it took quite a few months to get something right, and now we're just re-record the whole thing, and honestly was not draining at all. It was just fun, cool to have, and I felt super alive doing it. I felt really like I was learning new things to do with my voice, like breathing techniques, all those like nerdy stuff. Also had singing lessons with someone really cool from the Netherlands. So yeah, it's been a real nice adventure discovering something that was always here, but I never properly used it or openly.
You guys have, if you go into the discography of the band, you can definitely see an evolution from record to record. You guys never lost who you were, but almost like a child that starts as a baby and grows to become an adult, you guys have had that growth from record to record. It's obvious to me, listening to you guys since the beginning. But one thing that has stayed consistent is the way you guys look, on stage. Is that an aspect that you're not willing to compromise and you're not, is that something that's going to be ingrained in who you guys are, regardless of musical changes?
I think so. I mean, this is exactly who we are, how we feel on stage, as we talked a few times already. Well, I mean, we can create songs and rehearse the songs and think about them and all that, but whatever happens on stage is just something very organic. We don't rehearse it. We barely rehearse these days because, I mean, well, we're a bit scattered. So the rehearsals that we do are production, technical rehearsals for crew and all that. So yeah, we don't spend time debating how we're gonna move and if we're gonna do something different in terms of like body language wise for the new record. I mean, we don't do that at all. It's just however everybody feels on stage, that's gonna bleed through the performance. Yeah, forever, I think.
You also understand, perhaps more than some, how important the visual aspect of a band is, either it be the stage production or how you guys showcase yourselves and photo shoots, all of that stuff. Is that an aspect that in your mind, a lot of bands miss out on? That the music obviously is important, and that's what people come to the band for. But when it comes to the live performance and when it comes to the representation of who the band is, the visual aspect plays a huge role.
I think I think bands these days care more for visuals than they did 10 years ago when we started, for sure. I think there's been a big growth on that, also mostly because of social media and how scrolling works these days. I mean, if you're in the music algorithm, you'll see really cool shit when you're scrolling through like reels and bands just doing crazy good stuff these days. So bands kind of learned a lot from the evolution of social media and the quality of what you can do with today's technology. Um, I think sometimes it's just like finding your own voice. I mean, of course, taking inspiration from all the same things, it's very easy for everybody to just look the same. Looking good, but looking the same. So it kind of looks like you don't have your own voice or your own style or your own. There's nothing special about what you do, and that can be very easy to spot. And I think sometimes it's not like something's wrong about the new bands. It's just that sometimes it takes a few years for you to find that voice. Of course, in the beginning, you start by copying or mimicking whatever other artists are doing, because it's what you know. It's easier to stop by copying than, nobody learns. Nobody is born knowing everything. Um, so that's completely legit as long as you try to find your own path at some point, and that comes also with visuals. So yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, maybe people didn't know how to do it, so a lot of people would not care so much for visuals or didn't have the money to do so. These days, it's just very easy to look good, but it can be difficult to have your own voice, so your own style.
You mentioned, last question for you. You mentioned that you guys have been busy touring, playing a lot of shows. You don't really have a home to go to. So what's the plans for 2026? The album comes out March 20th. Are you going to be spending most of the year on the road?
Yep, it's gonna be quite busy. Yeah, we have these two shows in March, which, well, they're almost sold out by now, the release shows. And then we have a very, very busy June, July, August, September too. A lot of these things people don't know yet, but probably by the time this interview goes up, most stuff is already announced. But basically, we're overly booked for the rest of the year with a lot of cool stuff. Um, and let's see if we go to North America anytime soon too.
I listen, coming to Europe to see you guys, it's an expensive endeavor. So I hope to. Last year I saw you guys twice, both of them away, one in Norway and one in Denmark. So I hope to see you guys in North America. This album is phenomenal. I just really want to congratulate you and the whole crew. Lost
Thank
comes
you.
out March 20th on Century Media. My favorite band from you guys, I mean, my favorite album from you guys. Absolutely love what you guys have did with this record. And like I said, Nomad, Stardust, those two songs sound super special. They feel very special. I'm glad you guys included them on this record.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everything, Peter. Thank you.